tanning farming business there. From there, he went to West Point, and then, of course, directly into the military, and he was stationed in Jefferson Barracks in St. Louis, Missouri. And lo and behold, that's where his roommate from West Point lived. So he decided to visit him one day, and that's where he met his wife, Julia, his roommate's sister. Love at first sight, and then February, 3 months later in May, they were engaged. However, unable to marry until after the Mexican-American War. Shortly after the war, of course, they married, and from there he went to St. Louis. From St. Louis, he came here to Galena. Now, the reason he came here, you see, his father had this tanning business in Ohio, but he also owned a leather goods store here in Galena that Grant's two brothers ran. Well, 1860, one of those brothers became ill, unable to work, so Grant came here to replace his brother in the leather goods store. He was 38 years of age at the time, married, 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter, and at that time rented a home across town on Elm Street. Well, about 11 months later, the Civil War broke out, and being a West Point graduate, experienced military man that he was, he volunteered to train the troops in this area for President Lincoln, and he left for the war. So you see, it wasn't until the war was over in 1865 Grant was given this home. 13 prominent citizens here in Galena bought and furnished it for him in appreciation for what he did during the war. Bought it from the original owner, who built it in 1860. Paid the grand total of $2,500 for the home and the furnishings. So guarantee you won't get it for that now. But of course, it was a lot of money back then. So. Well, Grant was actually here in 1868 when he was elected our 18th president. 46 years of age, one of our younger presidents, Republican, filled 2 terms, and after that second term, left on a 2.5-year world tour. Now, he visited over 30 countries, received many, many gifts. We do have a few of them in the home, and of course I'll point them out as we go along. After his tour, he returned here for a short time, then retired to New York in 1880. And that's where he passed away of throat cancer in 1885 at the age of 63. Now his wife, Julia, lived for another 17 years. They're both entombed in Riverside Park, New York, the largest mausoleum in North America. 2 years after she passed, the children deeded the home and the furnishings over to the city of Galena, stipulating it be left as a memorial. The state took it over in 1931, and we've been state funded since that time. Now, keep in mind as we go through the home, wallpapers, window treatments, floor coverings, not original to Grant, the representative of the time period. Woodwork, majority of the furniture is all original to Grant. Any questions at all before we start the house tour? Well, this is the only area that's going to be close quarters like this, folks, so you'll have to shuffle around, take turn. I'll give you plenty of time afterwards to look, take pictures, etc. Any questions, just ask. You can't find anything I was talking about, so okay? And this first room here is the general study room, his library. He held political advisors meetings in there, entertained. The large book on the table is Mrs. Grant's Bible. Her name is engraved in gold on the front with the date 1865, and it weighs about 15 pounds. Then off to the left, next to his black rocker, right in front of the window there, you'll see his smoking stand. Now this was a necessity. During the Civil War, he picked up the habit of smoking cigars, 10 to 20 a day, hence the throat cancer he died of. So a lot of the soldiers smoked cigars. It kind of covered up the stench of the war. So. Now, also on the left-hand side of the room is a sculpture called Council of War, done by an artist by the name of John Rogers. It's Secretary of War Edmund Stanton on the right, Lincoln in the center, and Grant on the left. And above the fireplace is a painting depicting Grant's commission in 1864 to Lieutenant General. From left to right, L.E.B. Washington, Congressman here in Galena for 17 years, played a very big role in Grant's life, military as well as politically. In fact, he's one of those 13 prominent citizens that bought the home for Grant. In the center, General Grant, and off to the right, President Lincoln. Now again, the furniture in that room is original, including the bookcase. They're pine, false screens look like oak, just like the woodwork. Few of the books are original to Grant, majority are original to the time period.
Would you like me to open this door for these people, or no?
Pardon?
Would you like me to open a door for
No,
those
I would
people?
not. If they left the next period, we're beyond the point of.
I got you.
All
right, no
thank you.
problem.
It's
You're
an
welcome.
interesting picture of Lincoln.
Yes, that's not very depressing looking. Now, that's not original.
seen that.
No,
photo
it's,
graph
our
before.
boss just acquired that here
Should we
last
take a
year,
look and
so, it's a very depressing one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
know
Yeah.
it's not quite like it either.
Right.
leave for it?
So that's not original to Grant, but original to Pine City.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, when you're ready, just go right in the room behind you. And I'll meet you in there.
Isn't that the same wallpaper in the house, Lincoln
I'm not
House?
sure, baby.
This is not the Lincoln.
All right, well, this is the parlor, of course, and this is the room the gentleman accepted. Congratulations from friends and relatives on being elected president. As you can see, you can't notice the big picture laying up against the wall. We usually don't hang our pictures like this, so. This is actually on loan to us from Happy Joe's, believe it or not, just up the street. Yes, they're remodeling. And this is an original picture of Grant, done in 1879 by Mr. William Cogswell. In fact, the government commissioned him to do this and several others, and so there is another one of him in the White House, hanging in the White House to this day, and also one in the Capitol in Springfield, so. Now, all this beautiful black furniture in here, upholstered with horsehair and silk, tails and manes of horses woven with silk threads. The green chair there, General's favorite chair. He actually took that to the White House and back with him. He liked it so well. And notice how close the furniture sets the floor. People were shorter. The average height of a man during the Civil War was 5'7", a woman 5 foot. Now Grant was just a little bit above average, 5'8", but only weighed 135 to 145 pounds during the war. Not a large man at that time. Portrait above the fireplace there was done of Grant by Mr. Frank Peebles. Grant was 57 years of age there, done shortly after his world tour. As you can see, he does not weigh any 135 pounds, more like 195. He's been his whole life. You see, he gained between 45 and 50 pounds on that world tour. So it's just a mighty fine grub on that person. European pizza. Now, world tour gifts, the 2 vases on the fireplace, gifts from the King of Bulgaria, Bohemian glass. 2 oil paintings, one on each side of the fireplace, gifts from the government of Mexico, done by the famous artist Jose Velasco. However, those were given to him just a few months later when he made a trip to Cuba and Mexico. Now, the piano here, Small Square Baby Grand by Chickering. Mrs. Grant and daughter Ellen both played piano. Unfortunately, the piano is one of the few pieces in the home that is not original to Grant. We're not quite sure what happened to the original, but this was in the area when he lived here, very, very similar to the one he has. Now, pictures behind you folks, the one on the far left there called the Peacemaker. The original is actually hanging in the White House to this day. This is a meeting that took place near City Point, Virginia, aboard the steamer River Queen, held shortly before the Civil War was over. They were coming to terms for unification of the North and the South. Now, from left to right in that painting, General Sherman, General Grant, President Lincoln, and Admiral Porter, who was head of the Navy vessel. See the rainbow in the background, that represents peace. Now, the next one, the middle one, is called Sheridan's Ride, given to Grant while he's president, hung in the White House, later on in his New York home, and in 1939, Ulysses S. Grant III donated the original to the Smithsonian. Now, a little story behind this one. You see, the artist, Thomas Buchanan Reed, was also an author. He actually wrote the poem, Sheridan's Ride, first. It was so popular amongst people that being an artist, he decided to paint a variety picture. This is a reproduction of the one he gave Grant. Must be nice to be that talented. Now, this last one, an original rendition of the Surrender at Appomattox. Now, there's hundreds of original renditions out there. None of them are 100% accurate because there are no photographs taken. However, we feel this is one of the more accurate. This artist did a year's research on this. Now, there were 16 people in the room during the signing. 3 of them were from Galena here. Right in the center, sitting at the table, of course, is General Ulysses S. Grant. Directly behind him, General John Lowndes. And off to the right, General Eli Parker, full-blooded Seneca Indian chief, Grant's secretary throughout the Civil War. And that's just 3 of the 9 generals that came from Galena.
Wow.
Any questions?
No wonder your town is rich.
In the middle on top of the fireplace.
That is a dried arrangement, and that's original to the time period, but not to the Grants. Now, those things were quite popular back then. All right, while you're hungry, I got cranberry roast for lunch. Might be a little